What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astro DFS, and in today's video, I have the Week 1 quarterbacks to target on DraftKings. Now, we're still weeks away, but I think for the most part, we know what quarterbacks we're going to get now. As far as running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, I think I'll kind of save that. There's only a few quarterback decisions that we're waiting on, but for the most part, it's all known. So, as you can see on the sheet, I have, the teams, the opponents, the salary, and then last year's defensive versus quarterback fantasy points per game. This is on DraftKings, not just regular PPR, so it has the extra 3 points if they had passing or whatever it was. So some of the games that I like in this slate is Tampa Bay Atlanta. I think that's could be a really good back and forth one. It's got a really good total. Detroit Green Bay, that's another one with a strong total. It's, I think, the highest total on the slate as well. I do like Indy and Miami. I think that one could definitely be a really good back and forth game. And then Jacksonville and Carolina. I think those are some of my favorite games on the slate. I think a sleeper one is Cincy and Cleveland. So Jaden Daniels against the Giants. Now, Jaden Daniels is the most expensive quarterback on the slate. The Giants, 17.9, that's not bad. But Jaden Daniels did struggle against the Giants. At least for fantasy points, struggled compared to where he was a lot of the other time. But Jaden Daniels against the Giants didn't put up really good fantasy points. So in this one, we see the Giants' defensive line especially get a huge boost this offseason with one of the best edge rushers that we potentially have seen in the last couple of years, but it's always hard to say. But Abdul Carter looks really good. That defensive line looks really good in New York. Maybe they play smarter offensively and not just give it to the other team to run the ball a lot. So I'm not huge on Jaden Daniels. Joe Burrow, you do come with a price tag of Joe Burrow, $6,900. Jamar Chase also very expensive, as well as T. Higgins. So that stack is expensive. Cleveland, though, does look good if Flacco, which I think we all assume Flacco is the starting quarterback going into week 1, but I'm not going to say 100%. But this could be a really good division game for week 1. We saw Cincy and Cleveland has some really good games. Granted, I think Jameis Winston was the quarterback for one of them, but still, nonetheless, Cincy's defense doesn't look good. Cleveland's defense has some pieces, but still overall not good. I personally like Joe Burrow for tournaments, but if you're playing cash, I don't love him on this slate. Baker Mayfield's a different story. We know he's got the loaded wide receiver room. I think it's safe to say we probably don't see Godwin. It'll be Ibuka, McMillan, and Evans there against Atlanta. And Atlanta's still got some good secondary pieces there. AJ Terrell, Bates is there still, Hughes. So they still have some good secondary pieces as well as Tampa Bay, but it's still week 1 division opponent. I mean, it's going to be a good game regardless. Those teams played tough. Baker Mayfield, I don't think you need to go to Baker Mayfield. If there's one that you're going to kind of pay up for, Jared Goff against Green Bay, to where they lost Jair. Xavier McKinney's still there, but other than that, the secondary doesn't look very healthy as far as talent-wise. So I do really like Jared Goff for cash if I'm paying up for quarterback. Plus, you get the other side of Green Bay with the unknown wide receiver room, right? Which is why I'm saving that, but the unknown wide receiver room for Green Bay. Detroit, if they could be healthy, I mean, that defense does look like it could cause some problems. But we don't have Ben Johnson. We don't know if Detroit's offense is going to run as efficient as they did last season. They might have to do a lot more passes. We'll see. I mean, you would still figure the offensive line is almost the same. Did lose a key piece, but it's still got a very, very talented offense in Detroit. And a newcomer, Isaac Tesla, he's been getting some pretty good looks in preseason. So you imagine he could fit into that wide receiver 3 role for Detroit with Amon-Ra, with Jamison Williams. So yeah, the Detroit Green Bay game, obviously it's got a high total. You want to target those games. So I'm definitely fine with playing someone like Jared Goff. But then for $100 cheaper, we get Kyler Murray against the Saints, who just lost one of their best defensive players. We know that team is very old, doesn't have a lot of talent. I think it could be a really good game, right? Their secondary kind of got just torn apart. So I really like Arizona, especially Kyler Murray, trying to decide who you're going to pair with them, whether it be McBride, whether it be Marvin Harrison. I really love Arizona's offense in this one. My huge worry is Arizona gets a lead and then they just run the ball a lot. Arizona doesn't have the best defense in the league, but New Orleans offense, I mean, if Spencer Rattler's who I'm going to assume is the week 1 quarterback for New Orleans, if he can get some stuff going, I mean, they have some talent there, right? They have Kamara. We know what Kamara could do. They have Olave. If Olave's healthy, I mean, he is a threat for a wide receiver. Shaheed plays a deep ball. They added Brandon Cooks, who at the end of his career, so I don't really look at it as that impactful for him, but they have some pieces. They could compete if the quarterback play is good in New Orleans, but it does worry me. But I love Kyler Murray, right? Even if they get to a lead, that means Kyler Murray probably to some extent had something to do with that. So I love Kyler Murray for cash at 6,400. I think it's a very fair price point to pay for a quarterback on this slate. Bo Nix against Tennessee. Yet again, this is one to where I could just see Denver wanting to utilize the run game. Obviously, Bo Nix is a mobile quarterback. Gotten points with his arm as well. But I love Denver's run game in this one. I don't love the pass game as much. I don't think Tennessee's offense is going to be very strong against a very, very, very good Denver defense. So another division game in this one, Brock Purdy against Seattle. This one worries me a little bit, and that's just because of the status of the San Fran wide receivers. Seattle, it seems to be building that secondary again, which is very concerning playing against them. So in tournaments, yeah, it's San Fran's offense, right? It's San Francisco 49ers offense. So in tournaments, I like Brock Purdy. Definitely not a cash play. Jordan Love, kind of the same thing, right? A high total. We saw what Detroit's defense didn't do last year, and it was two things. It was one, stop opposing offenses, and two, stay healthy. The health thing is a total different ballgame, but the offense obviously lost their defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn. So Jordan Love, yet again, I'm going to want to get some of these good offenses in tournaments, but for cash, I don't think you need to go there. Houston against the Rams, this one's kind of ugly. I'm probably going to stay away from it if we're being honest. Houston's defense, really good. The Rams defense definitely took a significant step up with the talent that we thought they would have. Their defense definitely stepped up. So I'm kind of staying away from that Houston Rams game. And then we go into Miami against Indy, to where I love Indy's offense in this matchup, but you get a Tyreek Hill, a Jalen Waddle, a Devon Achane. We'll see Darren Waller's status, but they bring in someone like Westbrook Akine, who was a big one-play touchdown guy for Tennessee last season. And I think this team can compete. Now, Indy did upgrade their defense. Miami's offensive line doesn't look the best on paper, but Miami's defense, I mean, their secondary has got to be one of the worst secondaries on paper, right? Maybe guys take a huge step up, but on paper, week 1, I'm going to want to target against Miami's defense, so I love Indy. But on the contrary, that means I'm going to want to play Miami because they're going to be passing the ball. Tua has been a solid quarterback for fantasy points, so I really love Tua. I don't think you go there in cash, but for tournaments, love them. Bryce Young against Jacksonville. This one, to me, I think you can go one of two ways. You could go Bryce Young and then try to decide if you want to play Tet, who's also very cheap on this slate. I believe he's mid 5K, so you're basically getting 11K for your quarterback wide receiver, which is pretty damn good. And then you could run it back with Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter. And you could pair Bryce Young. It's going to be hard to decide who you pair with Bryce Young week 1, because obviously we've seen the success with Bryce Young and Adam Thielen. But do they get Tet McMillan going week 1? We'll find out. But I definitely love Bryce Young for cash in this one. Michael Penix against Tampa. I love in tournaments. I don't think you need to go there in cash. Drake May. Here's one I really love, where we just saw the Raiders trade away one of their more promising secondary pieces. Obviously, Vegas did a lot offensively. They brought in Geno Smith. They drafted Genty. They drafted some wide receivers to go compete. They still have Brock Bowers. They still have Jacoby Myers. Their defense does not look good, and we're getting 5,500 Drake May against that, who Drake May got some mobile fantasy points for us last season. Definitely saw a huge emphasis on upgrading that offense. They draft Trayvon Henderson. They go and acquire Stephon Diggs. They make that wide receiver room a little more competitive, add someone like Kyle Williams to compete with there, but you have Demario Douglas, you still have Hunter Henry, you still have some competing names in that wide receiver room, but Drake May at 5,500 I think is a great cash play week one. Obviously you add someone like Will Campbell to their offensive line as well, so I really love Drake May. He's one of the quarterbacks I'm definitely going to be deciding between who I want to pick. Obviously he's 5,500, so he's a really good price point. Justin Fields against Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers against the Jets. Gonna be honest, this is probably one of the uglier games on the slate for fantasy. I think it's gonna be a really good storyline game for the actual NFL, but for fantasy and DFS, staying away. Trevor Lawrence. This is where I say week one is very good. I think it's a very healthy slate for DFS week one because we get Trevor Lawrence 5,300, so he's cheaper than Bryce Young, cheaper than Drake May, and we see him versus one of the worst defenses in the league. I mean, obviously you have some pieces there, Horn and Brown, but overall the defense is very lackluster in talent. And we saw Jacksonville add Diami Brown. They draft Travis Hunter. Brenton Strange is now tight end one there. This could be a very ugly game, but I think it's going to be a very healthy scoring game. I think with what we saw at the end of the season for Carolina and the pieces Jacksonville brought in offensively, I guess, with they address the running back situation to make a competition with Tutton. They draft Travis Hunter. They add Diami Brown. So kind of change your wide receiver room. I love Trevor Lawrence at 5,300. He's going to make it very difficult for cash. Oh, man. Sam Darnold against San Fran. Obviously, Robert Saleh's back calling plays for San Fran. Seattle, it seems like we're going to get JSN, Cooper Kupp, and my boy Torrey Horton. But I love Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's a really good piece for tournament plays, especially with someone at the same price point as Trevor Lawrence. I think Sam Darnold's a good tournament piece. Definitely not worth it in cash at all. Geno Smith against New England. Yeah, I liked New England's secondary. I still like him, so I'm probably going to stay away from Geno Smith in that one. Genti, I'm more okay with, but Geno Smith, no. I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. But whoever is week one starting quarterback for Indy, whether it be Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, either one of these guys is a cash play for me at 5,100. And I mentioned Miami secondary, they got Minka Fitzpatrick, but they lost all of their corners essentially. They still have they have a good defensive line. Don't get me wrong, but their secondary is very poor. Indy still has a really good offensive line. They have a good run game. Regardless of which guy it is, right? If you look at it, right, Miami, this is how they were last year, 15.2. If you consider that on average they allowed 15.2 and you get a quarterback at 5,100, you're basically getting 3 times value for it in a really good matchup, right? Indy still has the same wide receiver room of Pittman, Downs, Pierce, Mitchell, all of them used in different ways. I don't think you need to play in Indy wide receiver or, Tyler Warren, who got added to that offense. I don't think you need to play any with this quarterback. Whoever is the starting quarterback, Richardson or Jones, I definitely think it has to be in your consideration for cash in week one. Russell Wilson against Washington. This one's going to be tough. I even for tournaments, I don't love it. I think the price point is the only thing that's enticing in this one. But, I mean, Russ has a good wide receiver room. I think it's a very good young wide receiver room with Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton. See what Jalen Hyatt does, but I'm pretty sure he's kind of done for. But you add someone like Cam Scatterbo to compete with Tyrone Tracy. It's just, I could see the Giants' defense causing some craziness in... But yeah, definitely for cash, don't consider it. So Russell Wilson, I'm going to want exposure to him in tournaments. Cam Ward, I'm so sorry, Cam Ward. I'm so sorry you have to play Denver week 1. If you saw Cam Ward's price on FanDuel, if you go and watch my first look and just kind of look at the prices, Cam Ward's unplayable on FanDuel, by all means. He could have a 20-point performance. He's just still unplayable at his price point against Denver. Joe Flacco, which I mentioned, we imagine is the week 1 starting quarterback. But whoever it is for Cleveland, it's going to be 4,900 against Cincy. I think it's a good tournament play, don't get me wrong. So whoever it ends up being, I think is a great tournament play. Very cheap. Really easy to stack Judy, Tillman, Njoku, whoever you want to stack with them. It's very cheap. It's very doable. Great for tournaments, right? Like we saw Cincinnati's defense last season allow a lot of points, allow a lot of passing yards in games where it mattered. So, yeah, Joe Flacco, great for tournaments. Love it. Cash would probably stay away. And then, yeah, just because of the price point, like I said, I imagine it's Spencer Rattler, but I don't love the matchup against Arizona. But I definitely want to get exposure to the Saints quarterback just for the price point alone, right? Whether it's Rattler, whether it's Tyler Shuck, I don't think we're going to see Jay Kaner, but I have him up there for purposes. I'm still going to want to get exposure in tournaments, in GPPs. Definitely not cash, right? Definitely not cash, but for the price point of 4.8, right? If you think about it, you're talking 13 fantasy points is what we need out of them to kind of pay off. Obviously not going to blow the door open and get you 30 points, at least I would hope not. But for somebody that, 15, 16 points with the weapons they have is doable. It's doable. I don't love it. That's why I want some exposure in tournaments, but not cash. So basically what I'm looking at in cash, if you want to pay up, I don't think you have to on this slate. I don't think you have to pay up at quarterback. But if you want, you get a mix of Jared Goff, Kyler Murray. I would prefer Kyler Murray at his price point just because he is rushing upside at 6,400. If we're going down in price for, that mid, I think the Bryce Young 2 of 57.58, and then we get into the real fun part where you get Drake May at 55, Trevor Lawrence at 53, and then an Indy quarterback at 51, right? This is a very healthy week 1, guys. Like, this is, I think, a great start for the DFS season. It's going to be tough to decide what quarterback you're going to take, but those are kind of the guys right now. We are still 3 weeks away from the season, but those are the guys right now that are in my player pool for cash. So Kyler Murray, if I want to pay up, if I want to pay down, right, kind of looking at a Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, or an Indy quarterback, whoever ends up being, which I think Anthony Richardson, but we're still not going to put any guarantees on that. So let me know in the comments who you guys are looking at for week 1, especially for cash, right? Tournaments. You can tell me anybody, right? I wouldn't really have to disagree with you, but anything can happen in tournaments, right? The one thing I'll say, right? Cam Ward should be very low owned because of the tough matchup in this one, especially on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, like, if Cam Ward goes off, not a lot of people are going to be playing him, right? So there is always that potential, right? Target guys with low ownership, and if they go off, you're above the field. So anyway, like I said, let me know who you guys are targeting for week 1. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next one.